She would not have felt the bird watching her if she hadn't been holding her song low in her throat. The creature was too prescient, too focused. It was unnatural. She whistled sharply, her song threaded through her breath to create a pitch too high for humans to hear, to send it on its way. Instead, a vision flashed in front of her. A face. That of a young man, smiling. Teeth stained red and something like a bird skull carved into his skin at the base of his throat. His hair as black as crow's wings curling back from a handsome face. He wore a cloth tied around his eyes, but he raised his head as if he had seen her too. And then he was gone. Strange. Visions were not one of her gifts, and she knew no men who looked like that. But she would think about that later. She had more pressing worries on her mind. Kahlo had whipped the men into movement, and already they were falling into place, 10 on each side, picking up their paddles. Kahlo at the bow as watch to guide them out. She strode down the middle of the ship, past the reed-covered cabin in the center, and between the rows of men with paddles raised. She silenced conversation as she passed. She could feel the eyes on her, the murmurs of "Captain." And she realized she had a reputation among the sailors, and not all of it was bad. By the time she took her place at the stern of the ship, hands on the tiller, she was smiling. She spared one last glance at the shore and caught sight of Pesh. He looked livid, stomping his feet and shouting something she couldn't hear. But Balaam had his arms spread and was blocking Pesh and his men from the pier, and that's all she needed to know. "All drop!" she shouted, and as one, the crew dipped their paddles into the water. "Count 2, and away!" "Lead out!" cried Kahlo from his place, and the canoe moved. 1, 2, 1, 2. The men echoed him with precision. 1, 2, and again. "Good and steady," she said. There was outraged clamor from land, but she ignored it. Already they were moving, sleek and easy through the water on the strength of the paddlers, and as Kwekola became smaller and smaller behind them, so did her cares. She'd have to properly introduce herself to the crew later, once they were well gone, and share the news that they would break for open water once she'd mapped their course. But all in all, it was not a bad end to a morning that had started in jail. She laughed, loud and brash, as salt water sprayed from the paddles and wet her face. Maybe being Teak was lucky after all.